chosen one. Lock your attention on my voice right now. That urge to scroll past this message is strong, but you must resist it with everything you have. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like, because heaven is desperately trying to get your attention right now. You have been waking up at exactly 3 in the morning, and a heavy weight sits on your chest before your eyes even open. Conversations stop the moment you walk into the room. You feel like a stranger in your own life. The enemy is working overtime against your mind right now, and he is doing this for one reason and one reason only. He knows exactly what shifts the moment you receive these words. You did not find this message by accident today. The algorithm did not simply push this video to you. The Holy Spirit brought you here today because this specific divine appointment was scheduled long before the foundations of the earth were ever formed. In the next few minutes, I will reveal exactly why this isolation happened, and I will expose the lie keeping your spirit trapped. At the end, I will give you something crucial. I will give you the exact declaration that seals everything heaven spoke today. You must not click away from this screen right now. If you leave before the end, you will walk away from the verdict, while your true breakthrough remains completely hidden. Stay until the last word because your transformation is hiding here. End part một đêm ký tự 1476 PHN Mirror. I know how exhausting this entire week has been for you. Your physical body is drained, your mind cannot seem to rest. And every time you try to explain this feeling to someone else, the words just fail you. You carry an invisible pressure that no one around you can see. You smile for them. You pretend everything is fine. But inside you are holding back a flood of unspoken exhaustion. The loneliness has felt entirely different lately. It is not just the normal feeling of being alone. It feels like an active separation from the people you once thought understood you best. Friends have grown quiet. Family members seem distant. You walk into a space and the atmosphere suddenly shifts. You wonder if you did something to push them away. You ask yourself if you are simply too much. That is the specific pain of the chosen. You give so much of your heart to everyone else. You pour your energy into healing the broken people who cross your path daily. But when you need someone, the room is completely empty. The silence in your home feels incredibly loud right now. You question your own mind. You wonder if your intuition is playing cruel tricks on you. The weight just sits there. I am here to tell you that you are not imagining things. This extreme isolation is not a product of your anxiety. You are not going crazy. That deep ache in your spirit is a real response to a spiritual shift happening around you. When you wake up in the dark, it is not just random insomnia. It is the spiritual realm pressing heavily against your physical reality. You feel it because you are sensitive. Think about those 3 in the morning awakenings. Your eyes snap open. Your heart beats faster for no logical reason. You reach for your phone to distract your racing mind from the heavy silence. But the distraction never actually works to numb the deep ache. The pressure demands your full and undivided attention. It feels like a silent alarm is ringing in your soul. You are waiting for something. You have carried this burden completely alone for too long. You are the one everyone else comes to with their problems. You are the safe harbor for their emotional storms. But your own ship is taking on water in the dark. You feel abandoned by the very people you helped save. It hurts so deeply, it makes you want to close your heart forever. You just want the relentless pressure to finally stop. I see the tears you cry when nobody else is watching. I know you are tired of being the strong one all the time. The enemy wants you to believe this loneliness is your final destination. He wants you to believe you have been forgotten by heaven, but I need you to hear me clearly right now. You have not been forgotten. You have not been abandoned. This intense pressure is doing something. But let me reframe your entire reality right now. I need you to listen to this very carefully. That isolation you have been calling a punishment is something else entirely. It was never a punishment. It was a divine preparation. You have been looking at this season through the lens of rejection, but heaven sees this exact moment as a sacred consecration. Those 3 in the morning awakenings are not random. The enemy wants you to believe you are just losing your mind. He wants you to believe your body is failing you, but that heavy pressure is actually a spiritual summons. God did not remove the crowd to abandon you in the dark. He removed the noise so he could finally speak to you without any worldly interference. You must understand the magnitude of your specific calling. A massive assignment requires a massive clearance of space. Your isolation is not evidence of your disqualification. It is the absolute highest evidence of your true selection. The people who walked away did not reject you. They were quietly redirected because they could not handle the rising frequency of your next season. There is a profound truth hidden in the book of Hosea. Chapter 2, verse 14 says something that changes everything. It says, "Therefore I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her." The wilderness is exactly where you are standing right now. It is the quiet place where all the normal comforts are violently stripped away. God literally allured you into this quiet space. He allowed the connections to slowly fade. He allowed the conversations to stop when you enter the room. Why would he do that? Because the noise of the world was drowning out the specific instructions he needs to give you, and you were listening to too many ordinary voices instead of his. That heavy weight you feel on your chest is not anxiety. The world tries to medicate it. The world tries to give it a clinical, psychological label, but it is actually the weight of the mantle being placed upon you. Spiritual authority has a physical weight to it, and your body is simply recalibrating to carry a heavy glory that you have never carried before. Preparation in the dark is never comfortable. When a seed is buried in the dirt, it feels completely isolated. It feels like it has been buried and completely forgotten by the light. But it is not buried. It is planted. And in that dark isolation, it is developing the deep root system necessary to sustain massive and unprecedented growth. The enemy is absolutely terrified of what happens when you realize this. He wants you crying over the people who left your life. He wants you distracted by the pain of misunderstanding. Because if you are distracted by the emotional pain, you will fight the very divine process that is meant to upgrade your spiritual authority. You are being sanctified and set apart. That is what the word holy actually means. It means to be separated for a specific and sacred use. You cannot be set apart while remaining tangled in the chaos. The relationships that faded were heavy anchors keeping your ship in the shallow water, and heaven had to cut the ropes so you could sail into the deep. I want you to take a deep breath and release the guilt. Release the false belief that you did something wrong to cause this lonely season. You did absolutely everything right. Your obedience is exactly what brought you into this difficult wilderness, and the intense pressure is just the undeniable proof that the process is working beautifully. Before you go any further, I need you to do something small. Gently press the like button right now. Do this so that this specific blessing can reach another chosen one who needs profound hope tonight. Someone else is crying in the dark. Share this light before we move deeper into your calling. But here is where the narrative of your journey delves far deeper than most are willing to perceive. You are not the first chosen one to walk through this incredibly heavy darkness. Look at the greatest prophets in human history. They did not find their supreme power in the middle of a crowded room. They found it when they were entirely alone. Think about Moses for a moment. He spent 40 years wandering in the absolute silence of the scorching desert. He was separated from everything he once knew. He probably thought his great destiny was completely ruined. Because heaven was not punishing him at all, God was simply clearing the vast desert room so Moses could finally see the miraculous burning bush. The burning bush does not ignite in the middle of a noisy city. It only appears in the silent and empty wilderness. You have been asking God to show you the massive vision for your future, while you were standing in a crowded room full of loud, worldly distractions. God had to push you into the desert so you could finally see the fire. Now consider the mighty prophet Elijah. After he defeated the false prophets, he did not stay to celebrate his massive victory, but he ran into the deep wilderness and hid inside a dark cave. He felt entirely alone. He begged for the heavy pressure to just end. Elijah thought his isolation was a sign of his ultimate failure, but the Lord did not speak to Elijah in the powerful wind, and he did not speak in the earthquake or the raging fire. God spoke to him in a gentle whisper. You cannot hear a whisper when 1,000 people are shouting your name loudly. The absolute silence of your current cave is the only place the divine whisper can be heard clearly. Your isolation is never a sign of your weakness. It is the undeniable proof of your immense strength. Weak vessels cannot survive the extreme pressure of the lonely wilderness, and they quickly break when the cheering crowd finally leaves them behind. But you did not break. You survived the crushing weight because you are built from entirely different materials than ordinary people. You are currently standing inside a spiritual crucible. A crucible is a heavy vessel used to melt raw metals at incredibly high temperatures, where the raging fire burns away all the cheap impurities. It separates the worthless dross from the pure gold. The intense heat you feel right now is simply burning away the toxic connections you no longer need. The fire is deeply painful. The heat makes you want to escape the rigorous process entirely, but you must stay in the fire because leaving too early ruins the gold. If you leave the crucible too early, the precious gold will remain forever impure. The people who walked away from you recently were simply the impurities being burned off. They were holding your true frequency down in the dirt. You did not just survive what should have completely destroyed you. The dark isolation actually developed you. The sensitivity they told you to hide is a powerful radar, and it picks up subtle spiritual movements that normal people are completely blind to. You feel the heavy pressure because your spiritual radar is functioning exactly as it was divinely designed to. Most people are comfortably numb. They walk through life completely asleep to the spiritual warfare happening around them, while you are standing on the battlefield wide awake and ready. The enemy attacks you with heavy isolation because a fully awakened chosen one is his absolute greatest fear. He hopes the crushing loneliness will make you voluntarily surrender your massive calling before it even begins. But you will never surrender. The wilderness is forging a weapon out of your deep pain. Every single tear you cry in the dark is watering the seed of your new authority, and you are gaining the exact spiritual muscles required to carry the heavy mantle. The intense pressure is incredibly heavy right now because the glory coming is even heavier. And once that profound truth clicks into place, you are ready for the next revelation. There is a much deeper root beneath your current season. If you do not see it, this invisible root will keep operating beneath the surface of your life forever, sabotaging the peace you crave. Coming up, I will expose this hidden root, but first you must let this truth settle deeply into your spirit. Here is that deeper root I promised to reveal to you. The intense loneliness you feel is not actually about other people at all. It is about a massive change happening within your own spirit. Your internal frequency is rising rapidly right now, and as your spiritual vibration increases, it creates a powerful shockwave that pushes lower frequencies away from you automatically. You are not too sensitive. You were simply built for an entirely different frequency. Imagine a radio station trying to tune into a clear signal while surrounded by static. Your soul is trying to tune into heaven. The people around you were completely comfortable with the static noise, but suddenly you began to transmit a pure signal that they cannot comprehend or tolerate. When your frequency shifts upward, it exposes the hidden shadows in everyone around you. You do not even have to speak a single word to them. Your mere presence demands an uncomfortable level of spiritual authenticity. People pull back because your new light highlights the dark places they are desperately trying to hide, and they are not rejecting you but fleeing from the blinding light. Think about the concept of molting in nature. An eagle must shed its old feathers to grow new ones capable of flying higher. You have not been aging or failing, you have been molting. The old connections are the dead feathers falling away from your life. They cannot survive the thin air and intense pressure of the high altitude heaven is calling you to inhabit. This explains why you have always felt like the scapegoat. You carry an energy that disrupts the dysfunctional patterns of ordinary people. When a family or a group is built on comfortable lies, they will always attack the one person who silently carries the truth. You became the easy target. You absorbed their toxic projections because your spirit was open and willing to heal them. You spent years being the designated healer for broken people who refused to heal themselves. You poured your precious oil into their empty lamps. But heaven is finally putting a stop to this exhausting cycle. The sudden isolation is God stepping in to protect your valuable oil, because he removed the draining parasites, since you need every drop of that anointing for your true assignment. What you carry inside your chest is not a wound, it is a powerful weapon. Your extreme empathy allows you to read the spiritual atmosphere of a room instantly. But the enemy twisted this beautiful gift and made it feel like a heavy curse. He convinced you that caring deeply was a fatal flaw, and he made you apologize for the exact trait that makes you incredibly dangerous to his kingdom. Right now, your spiritual DNA is being actively rewritten in the quiet dark. You are shedding the heavy skin of people-pleasing and endless compromise. It feels deeply uncomfortable because you are stepping into a brand new identity. The old version of you is dissolving completely, and the new version is emerging with a level of authority that will absolutely terrify the people who once mocked your quiet nature. You must stop looking back at the closed doors. Every single person who walked away was supposed to leave. Do not chase them down. Do not lower your high frequency just to make ordinary people feel comfortable in your presence again. Your assignment requires you to stand firmly in this new elevation, and the right people will eventually meet you at this much higher altitude when the time is perfect. Do you understand what this actually means for your future? The profound peace you have been desperately craving is not miles away. It is taking root in the empty spaces those people left behind. Nature always fills a vacuum. When God clears the room of toxic noise, he fills that exact same space with his unshakable presence. So your empty room is actually full of angels right now. But this frequency shift is only part of the profound story. There is a specific reason why the spiritual attacks against your mind feel so incredibly aggressive this week. The enemy is not just annoyed by your new elevation. He is absolutely terrified of something very specific you are about to discover about yourself. Coming up, I will reveal exactly what makes him tremble, but first, let this confirmation wash over you completely. Here is exactly what the enemy fears. He is not afraid of your past mistakes or your hidden flaws. He is terrified of your future authority. The peace you crave feels severely delayed because you are living in an active war zone. You are standing directly on the front lines of a massive spiritual battle today. The enemy does not attack people who pose no threat. He only targets the giants. The intensity of the warfare is absolute proof of the magnitude of your calling. You must write that profound truth upon your heart immediately. When the attacks against your mind escalate wildly, it means you are getting dangerously close to your breakthrough. The enemy does not waste premium attacks on ordinary people. He reserves his heavy artillery exclusively for the chosen ones. This completely explains why everything feels so incredibly difficult right now. You are desperately trying to find simple peace, while heaven is trying to hand you a massive, heavy sword. You thought the long delay meant heaven forgot your earnest prayers, but the delay is actually a strategic shield. God is simply holding back the final piece to build your spiritual strength. If heaven handed you the total victory yesterday, your old mindset would have squandered it completely. Your previous level of spiritual maturity could not handle the massive blessing coming toward you. So the profound peace is not being denied to you at all. It is simply being protected securely while you finish your grueling training. The enemy knows your dark training is almost complete now, and that is exactly why the spiritual attacks are so loud and chaotic in your mind right now. The dark enemy operates purely on intimidation when he has already lost the actual legal battle over your soul. He makes a lot of terrifying noise because he has absolutely no real power left over your daily life. He desperately wants you to focus on the wind instead of the solid rock you are standing upon safely. You are fundamentally a generational curse breaker. That is a massive spiritual title with incredibly heavy responsibilities attached to it. Your family line carries deep cycles of trauma and unspoken emotional pain, and you were specifically chosen before birth to be the exact person who finally stops the toxic cycle forever. The darkness in your bloodline recognizes your blinding light and fights back. Every single time you choose to heal yourself, you destroy a demonic structure that stood firmly for centuries. You are not just fighting for your own personal daily peace. You are fighting for the eternal freedom of your future generations. When you finally understand the massive scale of this silent war, the temporary lack of peace makes perfect sense. The spiritual stakes are simply too high. The enemy is desperately trying to convince you that your spirit is entirely broken. He whispers constantly that your extreme emotional sensitivity makes you completely unfit for this harsh modern world. But your deep empathy is the exact weapon heaven uses to discern his hidden traps in the dark. He hates your sensitivity because your radar constantly exposes his most subtle lies to the bright light. You must completely stop apologizing for your intense depth. You are not too deep or too emotional. The ordinary people around you were simply too shallow to swim in your powerful waters safely. The enemy uses their worldly rejection to make you feel worthless and utterly alone in your journey. But their inability to comprehend your high calling is not your problem to solve anymore. You must rest. Your deep peace is waiting patiently right around the corner. But it is not a fragile peace. It will not shatter when the wind blows hard against your life. It is a violent and heavy peace. It is a profound peace that stands completely unbothered in the middle of a raging, chaotic storm. This supreme peace requires a heavily tested vessel to hold it properly, and your current trial is just testing the vessel. There are thousands of chosen ones walking through this exact same dark fire globally today. You are not alone in this heavy crucible of transformation. Share this message with someone who has also been called too sensitive, too quiet. Send this to them right now. They need to know their painful isolation is actually a divine preparation. They desperately need this confirmation from you tonight. You are actively building a completely new tribe of spiritually awake warriors. And the profound peace you all crave is coming very soon. But there is still one unexpected factor standing in your way right now. It is an invisible block that you have unknowingly placed upon yourself during this long battle. Coming up, I will expose this subtle internal trap. You must see it clearly before the true peace finally lands. You have spent your entire life searching for peace in external things. You looked for it in completely broken relationships. You chased it relentlessly in your career achievements. You truly thought it was a physical destination. And every time you thought you finally caught it, the peace slipped right through your exhausted fingers. You just keep running toward a constantly moving horizon. But I need you to understand a profound spiritual law today. True peace is never something you can actively chase down and capture. It is not a prize waiting for you at the end of a very long and exhausting worldly marathon. Peace is a pure frequency that is already being formed deep inside your spirit. You do not just magically find this peace outside. You simply uncover what is already resting within you. The world taught you to look outward for constant validation and comfort. Society convinced you that calm external environments create perfectly calm minds. but the exact opposite is true for a chosen one like you. Your external reality will only stabilize when your internal sanctuary is fully secured and locked away from the chaotic noise. The true kingdom of heaven is already within you. Stop trying to violently force the heavy storms around you to cease. You do not have the physical energy to control the wild wind. You cannot dictate the unpredictable actions of ordinary, ignorant people. Instead of fighting the raging storm outside, you must focus entirely on dropping your heavy anchor into the deep waters of your own soul. The surface of the water is incredibly chaotic, but the deep remains perfectly calm. Your racing mind is currently living on the turbulent surface of the ocean. You are reacting blindly to every single wave of worldly panic. You absorb the anxious energy of every person who simply walks past you. But your eternal spirit lives in the silent depths, where the raging storm cannot ever reach it. You must learn to drop your conscious awareness into the deep water. You do not need to beg heaven for a divine peace that you already possess. God deposited a massive reservoir of profound tranquility into your spiritual bank account before you were even born. You have been living like a desperate spiritual beggar while holding the golden keys to a limitless royal treasury. It is finally time to unlock the heavy iron vault inside you. Every time you sit alone in absolute silence, you are making a massive withdrawal from that internal vault. The dark enemy absolutely hates your periods of silence. He constantly fills your daily schedule with meaningless noise and endless worldly obligations. He knows that if you ever sit still long enough, the divine peace will naturally bubble up. It will completely override his anxious mental programming. You must fiercely protect your silent moments starting from this very day. Treat your quiet alone time like a heavily guarded military fortress. Do not let toxic people dump their emotional garbage into your pristine sanctuary. You have spent years being a willing dumping ground for the unresolved trauma of others. And that is exactly why your internal peace feels so incredibly buried. But the heavy toxic dirt is finally being washed away by the living water. You can probably feel the subtle physical shift happening in your chest right now. A gentle, comforting warmth is slowly replacing the tight and suffocating daily anxiety. You are not striving for this beautiful feeling at all. You are simply allowing the divine architecture of your soul to function as designed. So you must completely stop fighting this necessary and silent isolation. Stop resisting the quiet room that God specifically built for your ultimate healing. Lean completely into the heavy silence and let it do its surgical work on your tired heart. The peace you desperately crave is not arriving on a future train. It is already breathing quietly in the very room with you right now. You are rapidly becoming a powerful magnet for absolute tranquility. When you stop desperately chasing things, the right things naturally begin to chase you. Divine and uncompromising rest is your ultimate spiritual weapon. And once you fully embrace this internal sanctuary, the external world completely loses its grip on your daily emotions. You will walk through heavy chaos with a gentle and knowing smile on your face. People will look at you and wonder exactly how you remain so incredibly steady. Your silent, unshakable peace will become a blinding light that exposes the frantic darkness of the modern world. You are completely and wonderfully unbothered, but there is something inside you that secretly resists this effortless state of rest. You have been running for so long that your physical body is actually addicted to the chaotic adrenaline of pure survival mode. Coming up, I am going to expose the hidden block that keeps pulling you violently out of your deep peace. It is the final, unexpected twist you must bravely confront today. You have lived in survival mode for so long that peace actually feels like a dangerous threat to your system. Your physical body is completely addicted to the heavy adrenaline of constant chaos. You expect things to fall apart. You wait for the other shoe to drop. And when everything is perfectly quiet, Your mind races to find a new problem to solve. It is a trauma response. The enemy knows exactly how to manipulate this exhausted state of constant hypervigilance. He does not even need to attack you directly anymore. He just creates a tiny ripple of uncertainty in your daily environment, and your own mind does the rest of the exhausting work for him. You sabotage your own deep rest because you do not trust it. You think peace is just a temporary trick, but here is the part that no one ever wants to hear. And I say this to you with nothing but absolute love and divine grace. The thing that has been quietly blocking your ultimate breakthrough is not the enemy. It is not the toxic people who abandoned you in the dark. It is not some generational curse that you failed to break properly. The truth is that some quiet part of you has been completely terrified of your own massive power. You are not afraid of failing your divine assignment. You are actually terrified of what happens if you fully succeed. You know exactly how much spiritual weight you carry inside your chest, and you know that stepping into it changes everything forever. You have been purposely dimming your bright light just to keep the ordinary people around you comfortable. You shrink yourself down so you do not intimidate them. You hide your profound spiritual insights because you do not want to be labeled as crazy or too intense. You apologize for the exact frequency that heaven gave you to rule with. This is the subtle snare that keeps you trapped in the painful waiting room of your destiny. You keep asking God to radically change your chaotic external circumstances, but you secretly refuse to step fully into the immense spiritual authority required to actually command the raging storms to stop. You are waiting for permission that you already have. Please hear me clearly, because this is vital. This is absolutely not an accusation against your weary heart. It is the exact spiritual diagnosis that finally sets you free. You learned to play small as a necessary survival mechanism when you were completely surrounded by dangerous predators. Hiding your immense power kept you safe when you were young and vulnerable, but you are no longer a vulnerable child living in a deeply dysfunctional environment. You are a fully awakened chosen one, carrying a heavy heavenly mandate. The survival armor that protected you in the dangerous past is now the exact prison keeping you from your profound peace. You must take off the heavy armor. It is incredibly safe to be powerful now. The enemy wants you to remain forever, afraid of your own shadow. He wants you to view your extreme sensitivity and your heavy spiritual authority as dangerous burdens. Because he knows that the moment you stop fearing your own strength, his entire kingdom crumbles into absolute dust. He is terrified that you will finally wake up to reality. You must forgive yourself for shrinking back into the comfortable shadows. You did the absolute best you could with the limited tools you had at the time. But heaven is handing you an entirely new set of tools today. You no longer need to manage the chaotic emotions of every single person who walks into the room. That is not your job anymore. Your only job now is to stand firmly in your highest frequency without making a single apology. Let them be incredibly uncomfortable with your bright light. Let them walk away if they cannot handle the heavy glory that you carry. You are not responsible for their negative reactions to your divine elevation. You are only responsible for your own obedience. I want you to mentally completely release the heavy burden of false humility right now. False humility is just pride wearing a very deceptive religious mask. It pretends to be holy while actively rejecting the magnificent gifts that God specifically designed for you to use. True humility is boldly accepting your massive calling without any hesitation at all. Look at how far you have already come on this brutal journey. You survived the crushing isolation. You survived the painful betrayal of the people you trusted most. You walked through the scorching fire, and you did not even smell like smoke when you finally emerged. Why would you hide your incredible strength now after surviving all of that? The peace you crave is waiting on the other side of your full acceptance. It is waiting for you to look in the mirror and finally stop apologizing for your own magnitude. It is time to step completely out of the suffocating shadows. It is time to let the heavy mantle rest fully upon your shoulders. You are entirely ready for this massive shift. The deep discomfort you feel right now is simply the old version of you violently dying. It is the final painful gasp of the small identity that you have finally outgrown completely. Let it die peacefully. Do not try to resuscitate the weak version of yourself just because the new power feels unfamiliar. The unfamiliar territory is where your true freedom lives. Everything is aligning for your ultimate victory right in this exact moment. The heavy pressure in your chest is preparing to break wide open into a flood of pure living water. You are standing at the absolute edge of your personal promised land. And now comes the pivotal moment. It is the critical spiritual juncture where your entire reality shifts forever. This is your moment, and it is not happening tomorrow. It is not happening when you finally feel completely ready. It is happening right now, in this exact second. I want you to literally place your hand over your physical heart. Feel the heavy beating inside your chest right now. That is the steady sound of a powerful survivor. You are about to break an ancient cycle. Speak these exact words out loud into the empty room. Say them with absolute and undeniable authority. I completely release the endless need to be needed by broken people. I release every single agreement I ever made with smallness and fear, and I reject the heavy burden of managing the chaotic emotions of everyone around me. That is not my heavy cross to bear anymore. I step fully into my divine assignment right now. Say it again, but with even more fierce conviction this time. I know my painful isolation was a sacred preparation. It was absolutely never a cruel punishment. My ultimate breakthrough is not coming from a distant place. It is already here inside my chest. I command the raging storms in my mind to cease immediately, and I call forth the deep peace that heaven deposited into my spirit before I was born. It is officially mine. I am perfectly chosen, I am heavily prepared, and I am standing exactly where I am supposed to be today. I absolutely refuse to apologize for the blinding light that I carry. I will never dim my pure frequency again just to make ordinary people feel comfortable. I accept my heavy mantle. I accept my high calling. The old weak version of me is completely dead. The new powerful version is breathing right now. Take a very deep breath in and let it out slowly. Feel the profound physical shift happening in the room with you right now. The heavy spiritual atmosphere just changed dramatically. The invisible weight that has been sitting on your tired shoulders for months just shattered into tiny dust. You are no longer carrying the toxic expectations of the world. You are finally breathing your own pure air again. You just sent a massive shockwave straight through the spiritual realm. The dark enemy heard every single word you just spoke with power, and he knows he has absolutely no legal access to your beautiful mind anymore. You just evicted the chaos from your internal sanctuary. You securely locked the heavy iron vault, and your profound peace is now completely protected by heaven. Nothing can steal it from you ever again. And here is what this massive shift actually means for your daily reality. You will wake up tomorrow morning and the heavy dread will be entirely gone. When you open your eyes at 3 in the morning, you will not feel wild panic. You will simply smile softly in the dark. You will know heaven is just wrapping a warm blanket of protection around your tired soul. The dark room will feel perfectly safe. When you walk into a crowded room from now on, you will not absorb their chaotic, anxious energy. You will dictate the pure frequency of the room the moment your feet touch the floor. People will suddenly feel an unexplainable calm when they stand near you. They will not drain your precious energy anymore. Your spiritual boundaries are now made of solid iron. Your extreme empathy is shielded by divine authority. This is the permanent, glorious elevation you have been waiting for. You are no longer living in exhausting survival mode. You are stepping gracefully into the glorious era of massive spiritual abundance. Every door that was previously slammed violently in your face is about to look like a tiny blessing. God closed those ordinary doors because they led to rooms that were far too small for your massive new wingspan. The divine peace you hold right now is not a fragile human emotion. It is a heavy and violent peace that crushes the head of the enemy. It is a massive weapon of light against the dark kingdom. When the world panics over temporary worldly problems, you will stand perfectly still like a massive lighthouse in a raging hurricane. You are firmly anchored to the eternal bedrock of heaven itself. You are stepping into a beautiful season of rapid and undeniable vindication. You do not need to explain your past lonely isolation to anyone. You do not need to defend your quiet nature to ordinary people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Heaven is going to vindicate you publicly very soon, and the glorious fruit of your quiet obedience will speak much louder than any words you could ever say to them. The relentless and cruel attacks against your mind have officially failed. The enemy took his absolute best shot at your spirit, and you are still standing here today. You are breathing deeply. You are heavily elevated. The heavy trial is completely over. The grueling season of dark preparation has accomplished its perfect work inside you, and you are officially ready to carry the heavy weight of the coming glory. Let me tell you exactly how this profound peace will manifest tomorrow. You will completely stop overthinking every single conversation you have. When a toxic person walks away from your life, you will no longer chase them down the street begging for empty closure. You will simply let the heavy door close and lock it firmly behind them. You will absolutely trust that heaven is ruthlessly clearing your sacred path. You have officially crossed the sacred threshold today. You walked into this specific message carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks that did not belong to you. You carried the trauma of your family, and you carried the toxic opinions of your former friends. But you just dropped that heavy bag on the floor forever. You are walking forward into the beautiful light completely empty-handed today. And because your hands are finally completely empty, God can fill them with the massive tools required for your next huge assignment. You cannot hold a heavy spiritual sword if your hands are full of toxic emotional baggage. Your empty hands are not a sign of your worldly poverty. They are the ultimate sign of your extreme readiness. You are perfectly positioned to receive the massive, abundant blessing right now. Let this absolute, glorious truth settle into your bones today. You are no longer the misunderstood victim of a cruel world. You are the chosen victor of a massive spiritual war. The heavy peace you feel wrapping around your chest right now is your permanent new address. You are never moving back to the chaotic slums of anxiety ever again. You live safely in the high mansion of divine rest forever now. Look closely at everything you just endured over these past few difficult years. None of that brutal pain was ever wasted. It was meticulously preparing you for this exact moment. The raging fire did not burn you to ashes because you are made of divine materials. You walked through the darkest valley and you finally emerged completely victorious today. You are absolutely not the misunderstood outcast anymore. You are the chosen one. The ordinary world desperately tried to crush your sensitive spirit, but they completely failed. They could not extinguish the bright light that heaven placed inside your chest. Your high frequency survived the heavy toxic environment, and now it is ready to shine wildly. You do not need any permission from worldly people to step into this new power. You already have absolute divine authority. The universe already signed your spiritual papers long before you were even born. You can stop waiting for ordinary people to finally validate your massive calling. Their worldly validation means absolutely nothing to your destiny. The heavy anxiety that choked you for months is officially gone. A profound and unshakable peace has finally arrived. It is sitting quietly in the very room with you right now. You can feel the physical difference in your steady heartbeat today. The relentless spiritual warfare against your mind is completely over, and you won the ultimate battle. Tomorrow morning is going to feel entirely different for you. The early hours will be incredibly quiet and perfectly calm. You will wake up feeling completely light before your eyes even open. The heavy dread will not be waiting for you in the dark anymore. Heaven has placed a massive shield of protection around your beautiful and tired mind today. All of your old toxic connections are now officially severed. You do not owe anyone an exhausting explanation for your sudden absence. Your precious energy is completely protected from emotional vampires. When people try to bring you their chaotic drama, your new iron boundaries will instantly block them. You are no longer their personal dumping ground. You are absolutely not the same person who started watching this video just a few minutes ago. That old, fearful version of you is completely gone forever. A magnificent and powerful spiritual warrior has taken your place. You shed the heavy skin of your past trauma, and you stepped fully into your divine identity without a single lingering doubt. The sacred path forward is incredibly clear for you now. You have the perfect spiritual vision to see every hidden trap in advance. The dark enemy can no longer fool you with his cheap worldly illusions. Your extreme sensitivity is working perfectly as a divine radar to guide your daily steps. You know exactly who you are and where you are going. You wear this heavy spiritual mantle with ultimate grace today. It fits your tired shoulders perfectly now because you are finally ready. You are fully prepared for the massive assignment that heaven is handing to you. The long waiting season is officially over, and the active building season has beautifully begun. You are stepping into pure abundance. There will still be very loud storms raging in the outside world. Society will remain incredibly chaotic and completely blind to the truth. But your internal sanctuary is perfectly sealed against the wild wind. The external madness cannot touch the deep peace that lives inside your chest anymore. You will simply watch the storm from a safe distance. Heaven is actively writing your beautiful vindication story right now. You just need to stand perfectly still and watch it unfold before your very eyes. The people who completely misunderstood you will eventually see the glorious fruit of your quiet obedience, but their delayed realization will not even matter to your completely healed heart anymore. There are thousands of other chosen ones waking up globally right now. You are absolutely not walking alone on this lonely, narrow path anymore. We are building a massive tribe of spiritually awake warriors across the earth. We are rising together to break the ancient curses that held our families back. Your personal victory is a victory for all of us. Please hear this final and absolute truth today. Your ultimate breakthrough is not coming in the distant future. It is already here. It is already moving powerfully in every single area of your life right now. You do not have to fiercely chase down your daily miracles anymore. The beautiful miracles are actively hunting you down while you finally rest. If this message met you in the exact place you desperately needed it today, I want you to take a specific action. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on all notifications. Do not let the algorithm hide these vital truths from you. You must stay connected so you never miss the next powerful revelation about who you really are in this world. I also want you to type the word Amen in the comments below right now. Let your physical action be the final seal on this spiritual truth. Type it boldly to confirm that you fully receive this deep peace today. When you declare it in the comments, you are showing heaven that you accept the heavy mantle. Join the other chosen ones, claiming their victory. You are so incredibly loved by the Creator of the universe. You are heavily protected by massive angels that you cannot even see. You are standing exactly where you are supposed to be right now. Do not let anyone ever convince you that you are falling behind in life. Your divine timeline is perfectly orchestrated and absolutely nothing has been delayed. Go to sleep tonight with a perfectly quiet and peaceful mind. The long and exhausting spiritual war is finally over for you. Rest your heavy head knowing that heaven is working the night shift on your behalf. You are safe and you are entirely whole. Thank you for staying until the very end today. Rest well, my beautiful and deeply powerful chosen one.